Imagine this. You are writing a function, but you don't know how many inputs someone will pass. Maybe one input, maybe 5, maybe 20. If you try to fix the number of parameters, your function becomes limited. So that's where args and kw args become very powerful. So let's start with a simple example. So here I have a Python a normal function. So you can see it accepts 2 parameters and it does work. So but only for 2 numbers. Now think, what if someone wants to pass more numbers? This function won't work. So this is function that cannot accept more than 4, more than 2 parameters. So we use something called asterisk and args. So this star or asterisk args means accept any number of positional arguments. So let's see how it runs. So when I give this, when I change the input parameter to be more than 2 or 5 or any number of parameters, it's still going to work fine. And you can see here, so it return, instead of saying return a plus b, you need to say return the sum of all args. So what it's going to do is no matter how many parameters you pass to the function, it is going to add everything and then it's going to print the total. So that's how it works. So you can pass 1, 2, even 1 or 2 or as many. So that's the use. So now slow down and notice this. Args become tuple. So you can see the tuple format here, a parenthesis around the numbers. So when you call add numbers of 2, 3, so what Python does is it actually assigns the args to 2, 3. So what it does is it's going to assign the args to 2, 3. So that's all. And because it is a tuple, you can loop through it. So you can even say in your method something like this. So I can loop through each argument. No matter how many arguments this function gets, it's going to loop them and print. So here I have a list of parameters which are all strings, and it's going to loop them and print it. So no matter how many parameters or a combination of parameters, so letters, numbers, so it's going to print. So remember, args are flexible positional inputs. So you can loop through it, and so now let's move to the next part. What if you want named inputs like key value pairs, like we see in the dictionary, in the case of a dictionary example? So here I have an example script. So here that's where kw args comes in. So kw star or asterisk kw args means accept any number of keyword arguments. So here in this example I have this parameter as star asterisk kw args, and it's going to print the args. So what is this function is accepting? It is accepting any number of keyword arguments. So you can pass a name, value, key pass, any number. You can keep on adding more, any number. So what it's going to do is it's going to print everything you pass. So that's how it works. So when you want to use, so you can see the output is a dictionary. So kw args becomes a dictionary. So you can also loop through. So here you can see star kw args. So this is very important. So note down this. So this makes the parameter so flexible. So you can pass 1, 2 or 3, and you can also loop through this as I can show you in this example. So this method again accepts any number of key value pairs, and for each key value in the items, it's going to print the output. So here we have the name, role, developer, nicely formatted and printed. So here we can see that kw args is flexible named inputs. Now let's combine both. So what if we have args and kw args? So that is also possible, and here we have a working example where this method accepts both positional arguments and keyword arguments. So you can see the output is positional, which simply prints the args, which is this one, and the name key value pairs. So now your function can accept anything. Now here comes something important. The order matters. So it must be always the regular arguments, because your first parameter is a positional parameter and the second one is the keyword parameters. So positional parameters in the same way should come first. So the order of how you define in your function, so you have to pass regular arguments as defined here, and if you do something the quite opposite, it is not going to work. So we can test that and see. So when I run this program, it's not going to work. It's going to say positional argument follows keyword argument, which is a syntax error. So keep in mind. But if your method has that particular order, you should follow that order. So if I change the order, so now this keyword parameters match the positional order, so it's going to work fine now. And you can see here also another important thing to note is the arguments always should follow the keyword argument. So even if I try to do something like this, it is not going to work. So this is always the important thing to know. Note down here is the order matters. The parameters should always be, the flexible parameters should always be, the first one should be the parameters and the second one should be the KW args. So that is the correct order. So you can remember something like this. So whenever you have this kind of situation, you need to always make sure that the correct order. This is your method, and you can see here the normal parameters should come first, and the arguments, the keyword, the positional parameters, and then the keyword parameters. So this is how, if you change the order, Python will throw this syntax error saying that it is not following the order. And now here is a small detail many beginners miss. You don't have to name them as args or keyword args. So you can give any name as you wish. So you can even change them, the args to values or some other name, and the keyword KW args info. So but still most people use args and KW args, so it's better to follow that. The only thing you need to know is for positional parameters, you use 1 asterisk and 2 asterisk for keyword, and the rest of the name can be anything. So that's what, but in general people tend to use args and KW args, so you can better follow that. Now let's look at a real world problem, and you can say, for example, let's say you have a function call. You imagine you want to log any function call. So you have here a method called logfunc, and this is a powerful script. Let's run and see and what happens here. And you can see this is a powerful script. So why this is powerful? Because the wrapper here doesn't care how many inputs the function has. So we have a wrapper method here which is using the positional arguments and the keyword arguments, so it doesn't care how many inputs this function has. So it just forwards everything. So it just processes these things and then forwards to the main call. So when you say multiply and you say this, so it matches the positional, the order, the star args, and matches this one, and hence the program works. So you can see here. So now let's talk about something very important: packing versus unpacking. So far we used args and KW args to collect values. Now we can use them to spread values. So here I have a nice example which will make you understand what I mean. So here we have the function that has 3 parameters, and now when the star nums here, you can see here we have the nums, and then the star nums actually unpacks the list. So we have defined a list, but you cannot pass the list as a parameter. So what we are going to do is you are going to do a star nums. So this is similar to the star args, And what the star does is it unpacks this list into individual parameters and passes this to the add method. So when I run this program, you get the correct total of the three numbers being passed, and the sum is returned back. So that's how you unpack the list. So you are basically spreading the values using the star nums. So instead of writing add of 1, 2, 3, you can actually use an existing list if your program has, and then unpack it and then pass it to this. And if you have something like star args, now you don't even need to worry about how many items are in the list. So it will still run. So when you unpack it, but in this case it's not going to work. So yeah, you got the point. And let's talk about the dictionary. Suppose you can use the same thing. Now you know the individual unpacking of the positional parameters, and let's take a look at this program which uses the dictionary unpacking. So here you have the star to unpack the key value. So it is going to pass that to the method, and it's going to print the key and the value. So that's how it is unpacked. So remember, star args collects positional arguments, and star kw args collects the keyword arguments, and the star unpacks the list as you saw here, star, and then the star unpacks dictionary. So now let's build a small flexible function. Here I already have it handy here. So you can see this create user function accepts both the positional arguments and the keyword arguments, and it's going to take that and print the key value of the dictionary, and then for each skills it's going to print the skills. So now I am going to follow the order. So first comes the args and then the kw args. So the output you can see here, it prints the dictionary value in a nicely formatted way, and then all the skills that I passed in a formatted way. So now think about it. You can pass any number of skills here, Python, SQL, or any other skills, and then any number of details, any number of skills and details. So now one honest point, don't overuse this. Use args and kw args only when you have number of inputs that is known. You are building reusable utilities, right? You are forwarding arguments. So in those cases you should use this. When should you avoid this is, you should avoid when the inputs are fixed. When you know already that this parameter is going to accept only 2 values, there is no use in doing this, overusing this args and kw. So you can simply don't have to use if you know the fixed number of inputs, if the number of inputs is known. And you should avoid this when you are building reusable, and and you should avoid this when the readability becomes confusing. So the first thing when you need to, here are the two situations where you need to avoid. The first situation is when you know the number of inputs is fixed. You know that this method is going to accept only 2 parameters, for example. You should avoid in such cases using this args and kw args. And another situation where you want to avoid this args and kw args is when you think that the readability is becoming more confusing. You want to keep the method simple. In those situations you should avoid this kind of notation. And now let's log this concept in your mind. So args is any number of unnamed inputs, and kw args is any number of named inputs. So, and together they make your functions flexible, reusable, and future-proof. So if you like this video, give a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and practice this examples and similar examples. And this is an important concept to learn, which will often come in the interview questions, so you should really master it. So Give a thumbs up if you like this video, and follow my channel for more Python tutorials like this and other videos on Playwright and other QA and dev general tips. As I find useful, I will post it regularly. So subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.